We're back with our panel and a look at the local political scene. Let's begin with Boston Mayor Michelle Wu. How's she doing so far? Is the honeymoon finally over? Shirley, let's start with Shirley.
Yeah, I do think the honeymoon is over. One of the things I think is so fascinating about Mayor Wu is that, you know, I run in different circles in town, and when you talk to women leaders, they're like, "Isn't she doing a great job? She's handled huge challenges: a COVID surge, vax protesters at her home. She's got major searches going on at the schools, at police, and so." But then when you talk to the men in town, male leaders, business leaders in the community, developers, they're not impressed.
And why do we think that is?
Okay, one more thought, and I know Joyce is jumping in here.
Yeah.
Well, part of it is that the people who feel who are not impressed, I mean, they're a little bit on the outs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's kept an arm's length at the business community. She doesn't want to be seen as the pocket at anyone. I mean, a lot of the business leaders did not have a prior relationship with Mayor Wu. And now I should say Mayor Walsh also did not have much of a relationship with the business community, except for maybe some developers. But he went out, I felt like he went out of his way
to court them.
But again, it's the male relationships, male bonding versus a woman of color. We're not used to this, or business leaders are not used to this, and so it's a new game for them, a new dynamic.
They don't quite know the same language, the same way to create a bond with the new mayor. Joyce?
They'll come around. She's running the city, and she's running it well so far. Now, I had my issues with her around the whole progressive cred thing with Ayanna Pressley and so forth, but I am pleasantly surprised and happy by her speaking her mind, her following up when she speaks her mind, and for her putting a number of people of color in positions where things need to change. But as again, I say with the developers, they'll come around, I have no doubt. She'll not have to court them. They're going to be courting her.
Yeah, they, no choice though, right? Because she's in charge.
She's in charge.
Sorry.
Let me just say that I honestly don't think she had a honeymoon. I really don't think. I think that the level of vitriol that she has experienced compared to previous mayors has been, to me at least, my perception is much higher. But I think if you
just come in some of the live press conferences, there are always people in the back of the room screaming at her. There's protests, protesting around her home. And is there some undercurrent to that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I think it's a woman.
No, go ahead, Louis.
I think it's both that she's a woman and a person of color, but it's also the way she speaks. I think that the people that are doing this, that are really upset by her, that really get bothered by her, that just want to go to her house and do whatever, I think is the way she speaks, and she's not backing down. And I think part of it, if you're a voter, if you voted for her, I think you're probably quite happy with what she's doing, because she's doing exactly what she set out to do. But if you didn't vote for her, I think that she's probably even worse than you might have expected, because what she said she was going to do, she's maybe doing it even more so.
Right. She's very independent, and she's sticking to her guns.
Exactly.
Even in the face of a lot of pushback from a lot of different areas.
And I like the fact that she's looking local to bring people into the administration. We do this thing all the time with when we're looking for the head of the Boston schools. We go outside of our community. We have the best thinkers in the world, and they come in and do nothing, or pretty close to nothing.
And it's not that they're doing nothing. They are not able to blend into the Boston way of doing
culture.
things.
That's
they're
That's
kind of
true.
stymied.
That's right.
So an unprecedented number of women and people of color running for statewide and local offices. So what does the diversity on this ballot say about Massachusetts politics?
I love it.
We just wrote a book on this.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Plug your book.
So
What's the name of the book?
Massachusetts politics about. God,
Go ahead.
That's all right.
Go ahead.
Put him on the
anyway,
spot.
you put me on the spot now.
I'm
Anyway, we
sorry.
just wrote a book about this, and basically it's basically the history of Massachusetts, anyone that's looked at this has seen especially Boston was very clearly dominated by Irish and Italian politicos for a very long time. It took a very long time because of the Democratic Party, the way that it controlled access to the ballot and so on. But they have been pushing. People of color we have been pushing for a while, and I think that the dam has finally broken. But what's interesting about it is that the people that still feel left out, like Latinos, for instance, which are quite not there yet, are not. They feel that they're being taken for granted a little bit, and they're still pushing. So I think this is something that is going to be sustainable for a while. Yeah.
All right. In 2019, a Mass Inc. Released a study which found that the state legislature failed to reflect the racial, ethnic, gender, and political makeup of Massachusetts. The report found that white voters are overrepresented, and that there are similar disparities in local governments. So, are we beginning to see a shift, or are we seeing a shift only at these top offices and not at the very, very local level?
No, we actually at the local level, that's where it started for some people. In fact, especially Latinos, which is what I'm most familiar with, we have very few mayors of Latino mayors, but that's where we started. And then school committees and that sort of thing. Also for women, there's more at the local level. There's more like Latinas and Black women and so on. So no, I think the problem is the larger governor and attorney general, that sort of thing. But I think we're finally moving in that direction.
I mean, yeah, the legislature is still very white, still incredibly male dominated. We pride ourselves on being a progressive state, but it is exciting. I mean, I don't want to all doom and gloom. I mean, we're going to have a woman as governor. Right?
That's right.
That's true. Much similar to kind of the finals.
A woman or a person of color as governor. But yes, a woman.
But similar to the Boston mayoral race, the women. We knew a woman was going to be elected the mayor of Boston. So that's really exciting.
It is exciting.
And they're great candidates for, Attorney General,
Secretary of State.
Secretary of State. There are all these leading women running.
DA.
That's true.
DA.
Oh, yes,
DA.
I didn't forget that.
So we're almost out of time. Joyce, do you want to offer your closing comment about diversity on the ballot? We'll give you about 20 seconds.
Oh, you're going to give me that long? Oh, first of all, I'm really thrilled that Tanisha Sullivan is running. I want to just kind of say that. The other thing is, I like the fact that more women of color are running statewide, because that hadn't always happened. What happened was that usually the gubernatorial candidate, they would ask for a minority woman to come on the ticket with them, and that's how it would go. I like the fact that folks like Tanisha are going for their own. They're saying, hey, this is what I have, this is what I offer, and I love that. And there are more Latino mayors than there are women of color mayors. We got to get that straight.
Yeah, we got to get that. And let's give a shout out to the Massachusetts Women's Political Caucus that's been doing a lot of this work for years to get women ready to run for office all the way through. All right.
I'm proud to have been an officer there.
Yes, Shirley Leon, Luis Jimenez, and Joyce Faribault-Bowling. Thank you for joining us. Everybody, just a reminder, the primaries are going to be held in Massachusetts on September 6th, followed by the general election on November 8th. So make sure you register to vote. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at CityLine5. And you can follow me on Twitter at Karen Holmes Ward. Have a great afternoon.